Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Dan.
Can you do me a favor? Can you get off your phone? Please start filming.
Yes, I'm starting the timer. Coming. Go ahead.
All right, awesome. Welcome to Parenthood. No, I'm kidding. Jamie, I gotta. Well, I always try to be honest with both the people watching it and everything, and I'm working really hard to lose weight.
You are.
Hopefully, and I have to really start working out and doing the things I don't want to do, but.
Working out.
I don't really, I still look fat on camera, so it is what it is. Now, oh man.
Can you explain the word to us?
Not really. Honestly. I guess we'll start.
Well, you kind of have to.
I do.
You have to start somewhere. Today is March 26th, 2025.
Awesome. I appreciate you doing your job. This is video 1439, season 4. Episode 999.1, and essentially somebody'd say, shouldn't this be episode 1000? This is a channel for applied mathematics and a bunch of other crap, and this channel really, I just want to dive into the difference between applied mathematics and traditional calculus, any forms of advanced mathematics, all the stuff you see in Good Will Hunting.
Right.
Applied mathematics is one of those things where if you look at the surface, there are rules that confine things like the Kelly Clarkson show. So they made a really big deal around the 1000th episode. On this channel, the rules only exist based on what I say, since this is my world, my subconsciousness, my channel. And essentially it's just an example where I can simply extend with a decimal point, which is, taught to children somewhere in 4th grade.
Yeah.
And I can extend the timeline of the episode, I've been using this for a while, and the timeline is, and this is a reference to a movie called Made with Bud Cort and Bobby Ricigliano, and obviously I'm not interested in whipping you.
Is everyone around here named Bobby Ricigliano?
Jesus fucking Christ, is everyone in this fucking place named Bobby Ricigliano? That's the line. And Bud Cort, it's a reference to Harold and Maude, and that really is a great segue into Parenthood, because Harold and Maude is one of those movies that really just is 100% based on sexuality, the entire premise and the entire relationship, and it's really a little difficult for most people to digest. But with the onset of exposure of children in mass media to sexuality came pornography, and then the dissemination of pornography via a mass network of VHS tapes. And that really was the first time that human beings were able to have pornography at an affordable level in the mass market.
Okay.
All right?
Are you not counting magazines?
Yes, I'm not counting magazines, because there is print, which requires the imagination of a human being, and then there is video, which is irrefutable.
Right.
And eventually we got into digital, but essentially first it was analog. And it was irrefutable because when you look at an image, the mind has to really take into effect its elaborate, like how graphic it is, no matter what you see on a picture. The disgustingness or the excitement is all in your mind, which is why religious Puritan groups and really repressed sexuality type individuals were the ones that went against pornography the most, is because their brains imagined it to be this amazing, unbelievable thing that they themselves withheld in public.
Okay.
And that's really why print and video is very different, because video leaves nothing to the imagination. Like, that's what's happening.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Print leaves a lot to the imagination, and that's why The People versus Larry Flint is not yet up here. Because The People versus Larry Flint is a very important movie, because I do not make porn. And a lot of people, when I was in the porn business, a lot of people, when I would say that, be like, oh my God, you're in the porn business? People still think I'm in the porn business. I'm in the brain porn business. That's the porn type of that I do. And I do brain porn because this really is what this is categorized in, because you have to be very intelligent to even follow along with the narrative of what's going on, in my opinion. And you have to be caring, altruistic, or you have to hate me and be an idiot and think that I'm embarrassing myself. Either one is misconceptions. Yeah, it's just whatever's in your mind. That's the brilliance, in my opinion, of this whole thing. And Parenthood is a movie that really showed a lot of the similarities in my personal narrative of how I was raised. And some of the mistakes that my parents have made have really scarred me for life. Because, and I say this because you really have to watch the movie and you have to understand that the character that I'm able to relate to most is Joaquin Phoenix's character, because I, like Joaquin Phoenix, was raised in what would traditionally be called a broken household. Now, I'm not on YouTube claiming to be a victim of some sort of an abuse home or anything like that, and that's the really, like, that's where it really twists. Because on one hand, I was not abused in any way, but because of the lack of understanding, since my parents' generation was the first generation where VHS tapes, porno tapes, were available to adults, not children, adults. And there was a very strict requirement. And in one of the videos, I'm going to talk about how I actually ended up at the age of 14 inside of a porno shop with a fake mustache that I got from Party City, a fake ID, and the glue. And David Schenfeld, my cousin, was there, and he can actually attest to this story. And that's because I'm a very motivated person, and yeah, like got to my head, and I got some very inappropriate videos, and I made an excuse like, oh no, the glue got to me.
So what does the lack of understanding lead to?
Well, unfortunately, it's taken me a really long time to really be honest with myself and say, look, a lot of the anger that you have stems from the negligence of the adults around you, not caring. Me. I once I had children, I realized how dangerous it was to allow me to do the things I wanted to do at free will. And luckily enough, I was a good person, and I wasn't looking to hurt anyone or do anything dangerous against other people. But the lack of parenting and the general lack of care is negligent on my mother. And my father really had a serious mental illness, and he barely was able to keep himself together, let alone raise a child independently. And my mother and my aunt knew this, and they flexed it on him anyway. And the stresses of dealing with it really, it was very difficult for my father. And I have a lot of sympathy for him, because he never had a support system that really is required to deal with very difficult human beings like himself. Which is why I covet my support system very much. I find that it is somewhat interchangeable. I find you and Mallory to be the non-interchangeable, my wife, to be the non-interchangeable parts of my support system, as well as a few other people that I don't want to mention, but just like, Jimmy, he's one of them, and luckily enough, I've been able to reconnect with my other brother, Jeremy, and my anger really stems from the fact that we live in a society that my children right now can be, at any time, have access to pornography. And a lot of that is a conversation that needs to be had after we discuss why exposing our children to massive amounts of YouTube is mentally unhealthy. We can't just dive into deleting porn, which will make it even more lucrative and more, kids would want it even more, because we've already,
What do you mean by deleting it? Making it not free?
Yeah, no, not just not making it free. Like porn, there has to be free porn, or else society will revolt. Once you've exposed
Revolt.
it, I'm just letting you know that there's certain things that you can't undo. And I say this because it's my solution in my personal life was all right, I'm just excited for my kids to grow up at this point, because I don't need to stress about them being overexposed to adult subject matters. While at the same time, I am constantly accused of this channel being a strain on their development. So mind you, I'm on YouTube trying to take a meeting to help all of humanity with the very few things that I physically know that I 100% can deliver. And at the same time, as I'm trying to help everyone, every single person that I'm trying to help is fighting me in order to disprove what I have to say, even though that everybody would benefit If anyone would just listen, or everyone, I don't need anyone, I need everyone. If they would just listen and accept the fact that I don't have any motivation to lie, I'm up here because it wasn't until recently that I realized how affected I was. And if you look at the circumstances in the Joaquin Phoenix character, believe it or not, my life was very similar. And as you could see, the Joaquin Phoenix character is a little older, I was a little bit younger,
Yeah.
but I was overexposed to pornography, and it's not something that is a secret. I just wish that it didn't happen. And for my entire life, I felt like it was my fault. But it wasn't. I was a 9-year-old boy. And one needs to take a step back, release the responsibility and anger, and understand that you're just here to be a chariot of goodwill and an ambassador.
Who, you?
That's all I'm looking to do. I'm looking to motivate people and inspire them to change their own worlds. Because we have taken on some very big systems like the national court systems and the internet and the singularity and Alzheimer's and God knows what else. But we haven't been really successful because I believe a human being's measurement of success is based on their own personal sense of accomplishment.
Okay.
And for me, I have been mired in the frustration that just like I wanted to take responsibility for what my parents failed at, a big part of me, you, and everyone around us want me to take responsibility for being a victim
Yes.
of crimes. And it'll never happen. It'll never happen. I'm telling you guys right now that it'll never happen. I will never take responsibility for something I didn't do.
Right.
And it's so important that everyone understands that if I take responsibility for something I didn't do, it takes away from my ability to take responsibility for what I did do, such as the things I've done on behalf of the US government that is so important that we address on this channel that I'm just blocked from addressing because my integrity is at question.
Right.
If I'm not able to prove my punk-ass little bankruptcy case, what is it, $100 million, in the scope of a $45 billion meeting, which obviously I'm going to update the numbers at this point because we have a 47, inflation, and I'm not dealing with this bullshit since my goal is to really change the world for the better using mathematics, logic, and reasoning, put all bipartisan politics completely into the toilet, and do not allow, I will not allow people to use the anger and frustration of the American people against themselves. We are living in a world where we continuously pay taxes for human beings to pretty much entertain us. Like, look at me, I'm a politician. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Oh, game over. And it's a ridiculous concept where the amount of comparisons that are done on a daily basis of the past really prevent the present from creating a future. And that is what I will change on my platform. So I know it might be a mouthful, but we address the dangers of overexposing. This channel is about applied mathematics code or whatever. Look guys, I understand that a lot of people might be able to dismiss what I have to say as, oh my God, this guy's insane, he's saying there's a time traveler. I am not saying I'm a time traveler, and no time did I say this. I said that I'm a federal agent who is an applied mathematician. I am not in law enforcement, I'm not in the CIA, I'm not in the NSA, I'm in none of those things.
Oh, it's right there.
Alright, I'm in none of those things. What I am is a ghost. I know it's a little complicated, it might be cool to some people, it might be a huge turnoff to other people, totally get it. Not up here selling anything, not asking for $1, not doing any of the things that you see. Nobody wants you to subscribe. No one gives a shit about who you are. Does this make any sense?
Yeah.
Alright, this is content for the future, filmed in the present, talking about the past. So just like I was able to go forward and backwards, I have the ability to do 10,000 times what you see. But I am mired in the daily overexposure of bullshit. And Jeff Daniels said it best in Looper. He said, you know what he said, Jamie?
What did he say?
He said, man, you know all this time travel stuff, don't worry about it, it's just gonna give you a headache. And that's the truth. We live in a very narrow-minded world who simply believes in only what they know, and until they're taught this by a mass media or something that other people have already accepted, they will not accept it. No matter how many times I say something on
Right,
YouTube
that's true.
and then it comes true, no
Right.
matter how many predictions I've made that have also come true, I could show you everything that I filmed regarding Donald Trump. I can explain to you why it is so significant for our country to be going through this change and how this is a cycle and not some sort of a rocket ship. And Jamie, do you understand how this channel is often confused of being a real YouTube channel, when in reality, it is the
Definitely.
metaphorical representation of my subconsciousness in order to document a very, very difficult process of, I don't even want to say it because I just finished watching Severance. I did it better than any YouTube channel or any amount of me screaming or showing on a whiteboard can never account for how good of a job Ben Stiller and the rest of the boys at Apple TV. Man, they really nailed it on that one. But you'd have to give yourself the ability to open your mind and watch 2 seasons, of a show on Apple TV. And understand that one of the reasons why I very much appreciate my relationship with my wife, and I'll never do anything long term to jeopardize it, is because, wait for it, just like in the show, 24 and 25 are very important numbers, and numbers don't lie. So one has to really watch the, what is it, 3rd season or 2? How many seasons of Severance were there? 2, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has to watch all 2 seasons from beginning to end to understand it. And I know it's a mouthful, but essentially this video is to kick off me saying, look, I don't film content just to hear myself speak. It is very important that I am able to say that what you have seen is me trying to do the best I can to really, I'm a little uncomfortable with the incompetence of human beings that have taken millions of dollars of taxpayer money and how I am being treated.
Okay, I understand.
And I look at myself as really an ordinary human being who has accomplished extraordinary things. And I am not only punished for being an extraordinary human being, I'm also completely ignored because I have really exposed the joke of the court system that simply leverages their connections, and we are raised to believe that there's this like unbelievable holistic system that is
Right,
created by
it's
our
not
founding
true.
fathers, but in reality it's a giant hustle
It is.
created by a bunch of people. Like in the movies, it's really as bad as they portrayed in
It
the
is.
movies. It's like Batman,
You should.
where the new Batman with corruption.
3 minutes.
Oh, that's great. What's up? So what did you want to
I
address?
think that you need to wrap up the last week's videos.
Well, there's no wrapping up last week's videos.
Or
Last week's videos, I will simply say that March 8th is a very important date for me and everybody else.
April?
Oh yeah, April 8th. Sorry about that.
April 8th.
April 8th is a very important
March
date.
date is in the past.
Correct. And today is March 26th. Now, the reason why it's such an important date is because we will be able to make history. I am confident that the judge will make me the first human being on earth the first being in the history of the United States that is found responsible for a debt that they themselves are a victim of. I was a victim of fraud, forgery, theft by deception, and a slew of other crimes as a conspiracy against me. Rather than being awarded due process or any of the basic standard rights that every human being, I am found to be held liable
Yes.
for something that I am the victim of. It is like getting punched in the face and being arrested for being punched in the face. Not an alternate charge, but actually the charge says Dan Reese is going to prison for being punched in the face. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's how crazy that I'm anticipating April 8th to be. I want to look really nice. It's history will be made. Or the judge can choose option 1, which, remember it's on video, you could go backwards or forwards. And option 1 is to rule in my favor, dismiss the
Make it
forgery, make it void, and apply ab initio, which is the most basic principle that would void all of the insanity that I've been subjugated to and allow me for a fresh start and to start the bankruptcy. Because I cannot start the bankruptcy when I'm dealing with criminal matters that I'm
Right.
a victim of.
It's
It
true.
needs to be resolved once and for all. Either the judge believes I am responsible for
Or-
something, or, well, I guess you'll have to find out. Wait, stop, relax, get back.
I'm ready.
You can finish this video. I will give you the honor,
Oh, I'm,
big honor. What do you got?
I don't know how to wrap it up. I think that you said everything well. We have a lot of material to release.
I've always wanted to do that, you know, it's
You
like an
did it.
80s movie. Proctor?
I
Please get him
feel like you needed a wrap-up video. It's a good one. We needed to kind
I'm a
of
human being, guys. I'm doing
talk
the best
about
I
everything
can.
that's going on.
If you see me, please just throw one of these up. You know, there's nothing to talk about. It's an exhausting job. It looks like we're nearing the end of this insanity. I'm gonna put a few buildings on the market, make a few bucks, and move on with my life.